Hi, everyone. It's Joe Chadburn, the Ambassador Network Director here at World Missionary Press. I'm with my friend Doreen Kabasomi. She is Every Home for Christ National Director in Uganda. Welcome, Doreen.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much.
It was such a pleasure to meet you a couple weeks ago in Ethiopia, and my wife just adores you, and we appreciate you so much. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was my pleasure to meet you. It was my pleasure.
Yes. I've been blessed to visit Uganda and to preach there in Kampala and in Entebbe, and that was many years ago. That was in 2004. I know that things have changed very much, but if you would, if you would talk a little bit about,
you'd get lost.
I'd get lost. Well, I'd get lost then too. So that's why I had my guides with me. Yes. Very, very faithful brothers and sisters, wonderful people in Uganda. So, so hospitable. And I was just so impressed with the way that the Lord moved there. And people told me just old stories that people who are, under oppression, under Idi Amin, and how they prayed in the swamps and trusted the Lord. And I saw so many supernatural things there and heard so many stories. It was such an educational trip for me. What a blessing. So the people of Uganda are strong. There are strong believers there. And just so thankful. They had me. I lost my voice by the end of the time. They had me ministering like 3 times a day, and so at the end, I was like whispering in the in the interpreter's ear, and he was doing all of the teaching. So that is but a wonderful place. So tell us what's happening in Uganda, your relationship with World Missionary Press, whatever you'd like to share right now. We want to hear from you.
Okay, right now, actually, it is raining. Right now, as I speak, it is raining. We are kind of in a wet season now. The good thing with Uganda is we don't have extremes. We don't have too hot and too cold, too much rain, and so we don't have extremes. By the way, Uganda is called the Pearl of Africa, I think, because of such things. We have very good weather. We have everything. We have all the lakes. We have all the mountains. Uganda is a beautiful place. And the people are happy people. Uganda is a Christian nation. It is 75% of Uganda is Christian. It is Christian. So it is Christian. The motto of our country is for God and my country. Everything is God first. So Uganda is a good place. It is a happy place. And for us, people who have been tasked and who have taken the commission of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Great Commission to heart and want to go forward and preach and do everything, we have a very big opportunity in Uganda. But we have a lot of freedom to do whatever we want to do. We can preach on the street, you can preach on the radio, you can stand anywhere on the street without getting any permission from anywhere, and put a loudspeaker somewhere and start preaching and start spreading the gospel and start saying something about Jesus. There's no problem. Our president is very Christian. The first family our president has 2 daughters who are pastors. So we kind of have an opportunity, especially us, the Christians. And in fact, that has helped us, especially Every Home for Christ. We accessibility, networking, and going through places that would have been hard to reach or to go through, it is easier. You will find our literature in Parliament. You will find our literature in government offices. And when I say literature, I'm talking about World Missionary Press literature, because it is most of what we use. So you find our literature in the president's office. You will go to State House. Something like White House, our State House in Uganda, you will find literature there, Christian literature from World Missionary Press, given by Every Home for Christ. So it has made it easier for us. It has made it easier. In fact, it would have been difficult for us to access such places. But when you have literature, that printed literature printed material. And this is where World Missionary Press comes in. The other time I said to you in your face that I cannot put in figures or in amounts or the amount of work World Missionary Press does for Uganda, especially through Every Home for Christ. We would do so little if we didn't have this literature from World Missionary Press. We would do so little. But you find that our work is easier. It is easier to go through people. It is easy. It is just easier. It is easier. I always say that it is one thing to preach the gospel, but it is another to preach and live something. And World Missionary Press gives us that opportunity to preach and live something there. Just a few weeks ago, I was at an island. And this could be a testimony. It was a sweet and sad story. I had gone to an island, a very far to reach place. So I had gone for ministry. So you get on a boat, water is getting into your legs and everything. And I fear water, by the way, but I braved myself and went on the water. So I reached the island. We had sent their literature. Sometime one of our coordinators had taken their literature. And because when a lot of literature has been going on and the community is active, I decided to visit the community. So I decided to visit the community to do street evangelism and a prayer rally. So when I reached there, I found the small booklet of the Gospels, the Gospel tracts. You see that those are small booklets, but I found that these people get a booklet and they tear out papers because the booklets are scarce. So they decide to share the pages. Each one takes a page, they read, and they keep rotating. They share in turns. You find a group of 20 people sharing one booklet, a small booklet, something that you would take for granted. I shed a tear. I was happy, but I shed a tear. These things, some people, they are valuable. There are people who take them as gold. I was like, wow. In fact, I said, I am going to send at least 20 boxes. But I was so touched that 20 people were sharing one booklet, and someone would tear, and you find they have covered the page they cover it with cloth that it is not dirty, it doesn't get wet, like they are holding it like their life depends on it.
So 20 people sharing one booklet.
20 people sharing one small booklet.
So even with a 75% Christian nation, there is a famine for the written word. There's a real need there. Now, help me out with this. I know the geography a little bit, but is this island in Lake Victoria, or where is this island?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It is in Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria has around 20 islands.
Okay. Okay.
So what we do is our prayer coordinator coordinates pastors on those islands. So we had been sending. So there are many lakes, but because Lake Victoria is in Kampala, majorly in Kampala, so it is easier for us to go there. And the other good thing is most of the literature we have, the languages are easier for them. Luganda is their language, and we have Luganda literature a lot. Most of the other islands, the languages are very hard to get. So we end up having to interpret, and sometimes, but Luganda is easily accessible, and many people in Uganda can read and understand Luganda. So that was one story that touched me, and I was like, I came when I was coming back. I was talking to my secretary, and I was saying, "Do you know how and do you even sit to imagine what we would do if we didn't have this printed literature?" I cannot even begin to. I'm telling you, the people at World Missionary Press, if you have not had anyone, if you have not understood the amount of work or the blessing you are to the world, take it from Uganda. We would do nothing without this literature. We need it. I'm telling you, we hold it like gold. We had issues with our container. the beginning of this year. So we ended up not receiving literature. I am telling you, life has been hard. Life has been hard because we were not able to get the literature we wanted. So our every Home for Christ and the relationship with World Missionary Press is valuable. It is gold, I should say. And we really, really want to appreciate you. Yes. Sometime in COVID, although this is still ongoing, because a lot of places were locked down and movement was restricted. So I thought of a way I would be able to access people still, even as they are locked down and everything. So this is what I did. I said, okay, I'm going to put literature at some key points, especially places that were open. So I said, I'm going to take literature. I'm going to make like police stations, gas stations, fire stations, like our point, like our hub. What I did not know, I opened up a good can of worms, I should say. It was a good one. So the literature I put on the police station, you will, when you come to Uganda and you reach Kampala and you go to any police station and you just mention every Home for Christ, they know us because of that literature.
Praise the Lord.
People access literature from the police station. The people that they have been arrested, when people are arrested, the police officers give them World Missionary Press literature to read while they are in cells.
Wow.
I don't understand what kind of ministry that is and how God did it, but he did it.
That's beautiful.
Police officers are preaching the gospel while they arrest people. There's a lady police station. I will send you pictures maybe later on for you to say. There's a lady police woman. She came and got 20 boxes from us after the literature was done. And she said, I'm going to do ministry. So I said, how are you going to do the ministry? Are you going to travel somewhere so that maybe we can help in transportation? She said, no, I'm going to do the ministry at the station. I said, no problem. I said, but 20 boxes are too much. 3 days later, she came back and the literature was done. But she gives the literature to the people that are in the cells, the thieves that they have arrested, the conmen they have arrested, the murderers they have arrested. The gospel is preached to such people. Some of us cannot access such places, but this literature is helping us to permeate, to maneuver through, to go to some of those places. How would I go to a police cell when I'm not arrested to preach the gospel there? But because of this literature that you can just place it there. And someone, you're arrested, you don't have anything you're doing apart from sitting. All you can do is read that literature. And those books they have the Holy Spirit behind them. Every time we receive a container, we take time like 2 days to pray for that literature. I am sure that people at World Missionary Press are praying. Everyone who receives that booklet, there is the Holy Spirit behind that booklet. It will do something. You cannot read it and stay the same.
Praise the Lord. You know, this is what you're saying is so powerful. Being able to share the literature, to give it to police stations, and they receive it with joy, and then they're sharing it with inmates and people who are in jail, and people are receiving Jesus. That's amazing. You know, I believe that Uganda, and like I say, I was there in 2004, and my mind was blown at what the Lord can do with a nation, how national transformation can occur, and I believe that Uganda is just a divine prototype. The earth is the Lord's, the fullness thereof, the world and all they that dwell therein. And we know that every tongue, tribe, and nation shall bow to. So that's North Korea, that's Saudi Arabia. That's all these places that people think are unreachable. And I just looked to confirm the dates, but Idi Amin was in power from 1971 to 79, it looks like. This was when I was a boy. I'm 56, but this is when I was in elementary school and middle school. And look at what's happened in such a short time, how this nation's been changed. Because people used to, I have Ugandan friends who used to say, if you would go to the hospital and tell them, they would ask, "Are you born again?" And if you tell them you were born again, a lot of those people would not leave the hospital. They were killing people. It was like just killing Christians. And so what's happened, even in the midst of persecution, in the midst of just total barbarism, the Lord just raised up a nation. And now you say your leaders, that World Missionary Press scripture booklets, are in the president's house. His daughters are pastors. I mean, and 75% of the nation is Christian. Now, that other 25% need to be reached, of course. But what a powerful testimony how that thing turned around. And I get to see it and hear about it in my lifetime. You know, you don't you don't see that all the time, but that's something. Never give up on a nation. Never give up on your nation. Always know that regardless of how bad it may look, God can do all things. He can change things, and I believe that's his will.